It's time for our CTech Plus Hour again, and we are only just getting over the excitement of International Women's Day yesterday. So today we're talking all about social prescribing as we celebrate Social Prescribing Day. Coming up, we will hear from Lee, a Plus participant who was diagnosed with ME and finding day-to-day life difficult as a single mum. Being able to access an online support group and a laptop through social prescribing provided Lee the help she needed at a really challenging time in her life. We will also be joined by Scott Wood, a health and wellbeing coach from Plus, who will be telling us all about the benefit of cold water swimming, an activity that social prescribers are now recommending. It is thought that the effectiveness of social prescribing may lead to a reduction in the use of NHS services and help to alleviate the workload of GPs, which has got to be a good thing. So, here to tell us more, we are joined in the studio with Sarah Avenel. Sarah is a health and wellbeing coach with Plus. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello, nice to be here.
How are you doing?
Yes, good, thanks.
All good? Obviously, thank you coming in the studio today. Could you tell us a little bit about your role at Plus?
Of course. So, my role is as a health and wellbeing coach, and throughout Plus and throughout the country, there are health and wellbeing coaches in different projects. But down here, where I am based, it's with GP surgeries.
Right.
So we work alongside GP surgeries, like you said there, hopefully to help reduce some of the appointments that people might have. But we work to look at people as a whole. So it's, when I explain to new people I'm working with, we work alongside the GPs, but in a non-medical way. And then we can look at how we can support them.
That's really good. So like I said just now, it really can help to take the workload away from GPs to put them on maybe more important matters where someone may not necessarily need, but they may not know, but they may not need to see a GP. Would that be right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, this week is all about highlighting social prescribing, which I'm sure some people are still not aware of what it is. I know I wasn't when I first started talking about it. Learned a lot from doing these hours and working with Chaos and working with Plus. Can you tell our viewers, though, what the idea is behind social prescribing and how it works?
Yeah, of course. So I think, like I said just now, it's around looking at the person as a whole and understanding what opportunities are available to them in the community, because there's a lot of amazing people out there doing lots of good work and want to help people. But if we don't know that help's out there, then we're not going to go and try and get it.
Exactly, yeah.
So I think it's not just social. I think sometimes the term social prescribing, people think it would be great to go to groups, but that might not be what everyone's needs are. So it might be practical support around housing, benefits, debt management. There's a lot of employment support through Plus as well. Or it might be the more emotional and mental well-being. So it might be that we run courses or support people getting referred into counselling, which can sometimes be quite a difficult thing to do. Or there is the social and the physical side of it. So lots of different activities that take place that we can let people know about.
See, the way I've seen sort of grasped at this over the months that I've been doing this is that you've got your main services, which are great at what they do, but there's a lot of sort of grey areas and in-between areas that just don't get touched, but they're actually just as important. And I feel like this is where social prescribing really comes into its own.
Yeah.
Things like you said, I feel like the name sometimes could be a little bit misleading. It does deal with that social aspect. There's other things as well. Like you said, it may not be what's right for someone. Somebody may shudder in fear even at the word social. Some people may be a day-to-day thing, but it's lovely to see that these options are coming in and being so effective.
Yeah, I mean, I know we're really busy, and I'm sure all other people doing the job would agree. So yeah, I think it's doing a lot of good.
That's really, really good. Obviously, there are many things in life that can affect our health and well-being. Things such as loneliness and isolation, especially obviously this last couple of years. Yeah. Can you tell us about some of the activities and services that can be accessed via social prescribing that may alleviate some of these common problems that we face?
Yeah, of course. There's lots, so you stop me when I've gone for too many.
You've got all the time in the world, you go for it.
So an example being under the Chaos group. I visited the Chaos farm last week, and even within the Chaos farm, so that offers opportunities for people to learn skills and about like the horticultural side of things, but also they offer a craft group or a group for men or women, and a lot of that is about connecting people. I run a hope course.
Oh.
So yeah, I'll just talk about that for a second.
Please do.
Yeah, so it stands for How to Deal with Problems Effectively.
Okay.
So we bring people together, and the groups are created from people with lived experience. So although we cover things like stress management, mindfulness, and offer tools and techniques for people, actually it's about bringing people together and they support each other, and then we're just there facilitating that and watching that space grow. For example, courses can be run for people with long-term health conditions, or I think there was a course run elsewhere in the county for long COVID sufferers. But again, groups can be created for different people and for different reasons. So that's something that social prescribing, especially down here, is doing a lot of.
Brilliant.
You mentioned isolation in the
Yes.
past couple of years. So befriending is a huge thing we're supporting at the moment. So different services across the country, it will be different, but we can refer people to have a befriender. So sometimes that will be just someone to give them a call once a week to have a chat, talk about what they've watched on telly, ask them how they are. And because if a lot of people, they're not getting out very much and they don't feel like they have a support network around them, to have someone call you once a week and have a chat is a really big thing. And that's been quite popular recently.
On that one, just to interrupt you actually,
Yeah, of course.
I can't explain how much that is a help as well to family members around that person. If they can't get to them or they can't reach them very well, it breaks things up and have a different face to talk to as well. They may have family, but sometimes you just need someone else to chat to as well. I know in situations where somebody's being cared for, it helps break things up for the family around that person as well. They get to have a break for 5 minutes. I've had personal experience of that.
Okay.
You know, I can't explain how much help that is. Like you said, it's just a little call, but it does the world of good, doesn't it?
That's huge.
Amazing.
And so we only work with individuals currently, but if we hear about they're being cared for or they are a carer, then again, that's something we can look into to support them with.
Amazing.
Especially a lot of carers aren't necessarily reaching out for the support that they're entitled to, so we can encourage and support that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look after someone as well, you've got to be able to look after yourself. You can't look after someone if you're going downhill, you'll burn yourself out.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good direction.
Yeah, and it's really common. I think even with the social prescribing calls or sessions, just having that person listening and that can pick up on those things can be really helpful.
Yeah.
There's lots more, I think. So the NHS have also started investing in green social prescribing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Cornwall Wildlife Trust, and again, up and down the country will be different services, but about getting people outside, like the Chaos Farm. There's lots of different ways of getting people outside for different reasons. It may just be to go for a walk or go for that swim that we'll hear more about later.
We will be, yeah.
But yeah, having people connect with nature is a really big thing at the moment too.
I think people underestimate the power of just going outside.
Yeah.
Like, look at myself. I'm a gamer, I'm a coder, I do streaming, I do this. I don't get out much. So I do have to take some time to go, like, get outside. There's sometimes I can feel it affecting me, and as soon as I'm outside, it just refreshes you, reinvigorates you, and you feel better for it. And I think we underestimate that quite a lot. So it's nice to see that kind of option also been taken in. It all makes perfect sense. If you're taking part in these activities or just meeting up in a group and seeing people, it's going to make you feel better about yourself, healthier. There must be some really great benefits from social prescribing. Do you have any success stories?
Yeah, definitely. For me, someone I was working with for a few months last year hardly left the house, had lots of different mental health problems and physical as well. So everything, like the daily struggle, was real for this person. And in lockdown, their cleaner had to stop visiting, and so there was lots of clutter, and that was also causing a lot of stress. But reaching out for someone new was quite difficult. So I was able to help support them get a cleaner who they built a really great relationship with. And then from that, the trust was built to then move on to more support around benefits, money management, and some of the other stresses that were coming for that person.
I do sometimes feel like these are things that need to be almost being taught at an earlier age. Some of these things like money management, and because it seems to be a big problem that people hit if they haven't taken a course in or something. Because I had to start off doing something I didn't know how to deal with my council tax online way back when I started doing it. I didn't know about my national insurance contributions way back when. I feel like these are things that really, if we started introducing them to people at a younger age, it would be more useful. And it will take the pressure off you guys to help in other areas, but I feel like I'm veering off track here, so I'll try to rein it back in. But yeah, definitely, it's things that need doing, and sometimes just getting on the phone for some people isn't it? It's so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, my mum's the same lesson, so I'll take all the phone calls for her. But yeah, like you said, getting someone in for someone, so it takes that one stress away, I can imagine it does the world of good.
Yeah, and I think then they've got time to think about them away from the stress, and that's a big thing that we try to encourage. It's like, what do they need? What do you need? You're allowed to say what you want and what you'd like, and how can we make some of that happen?
Very good. Now, social prescribing, obviously, it's a service. Can it be accessed by anyone of any age?
So predominantly at the moment it's over 18s, but I think, again, there's a lot of work by the NHS to expand that offer to children and families and young people, because we can support an individual, and that will have an effect on the people around them, but actually there's a lot more that could be done. So I know down here, for example, the WAVE project are doing a lot of work to expand social prescribing to young people, and I don't have an age limit. Some social prescribers may do, but also Age UK, for example, have some of their own social prescribers to work with people over the age of 65. So it's growing. Over the past few years, it's definitely been growing, and it's continuing.
Fantastic. Well, with all obviously the work that's going in, all the success you're having, it's fantastic to see that it's being more and more inclusive. So could you tell us the best way for people to find out about social prescribing within the community?
Yeah, I think the best thing would be to call your GP surgery. You don't have to speak to the GP, you can just ask the reception team, and they should be able to guide people on what's going on in the area. And again, people then can ask to be referred without having to go through the GP as well. So they can ask the reception team to book them in, and then we'll give them a call and have a chat about what we might be able to support them with.
It's brilliant. At the very least, it's a brilliant way of finding out actually what's going on in your community, because there's a few times I've thought, I actually want to go out and do some things, but I don't know what there is, what groups there are around. So at the very least, it's a good way of finding that to help you stop getting into these problems later on.
Yeah.
Really love it. Well, thank you very much for coming in today,
you.
Sarah. Lovely chat as always. Hopefully have you coming in again soon.
Yeah, thanks.
Now, obviously, remember, you can get in touch with us today, like I said earlier, if you need more information about anything you've heard or going to hear today. The usual ways, obviously, the WhatsApp number is 01872 2288 and details are running along the bottom of the screen. Don't forget, get the bill payer's permission. Now, we're going to hear from Lee Hill, a social prescriber participant who has benefited hugely from this service. Lee met up with Jan Rooney, a digital health and wellbeing coach from Plus, to explain how social prescribing gave her the help she needed.
I'm Jan Rooney, and I'm a health and wellbeing coach with Plus on the social prescribing team. And this is Lee, who is a participant of social prescribing. And we're here today just to have a chat with Lee about her experiences for Social Prescribing Day on the 10th of March. So it'd be really good if you could just let people know about your experience of social prescribing.
So yeah, it was new to me, and I can really say it's just been really, really beneficial, really. Like, it's been really hard year, really kind of come to terms. It obviously found out I had ME, so being part of a group has been really, really, really helpful, you know, and especially on a kind of a week-on-week basis, especially over winter. It's just been, yeah, really, really beneficial. I've met lots of strangers that have now become friends. It's a platform where we're able to kind of be really open, but know that nobody else is kind of judging. We're in a small group, it feels protected, and yeah, I would definitely say to anybody who is looking to join a group, yeah, to definitely look into it.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So will you tell us which group you have joined?
So I've joined Hope, and this is my second time of joining them. I did a 6-week, I partaked in like a 6-week before Christmas, but then found that I needed another another lot, which was really, really helpful, and I've just finished my second lot.
Lovely.
So,
And would you mind just telling everyone what hope means to you and what you've learned from it?
Oh, so much. You know, we work through different parts every week, whether it's combating anxiety or worry, or you know, I spend a lot of time at home if I'm having a really hard time. So it's there to help you understand what to do, and I really enjoy like when you take us through the mindfulness, and it's just nice to open up and talk to other people, and yeah.
You want to explain to us what was happening before you were referred into social prescribing and how that actually happens?
Okay, so at the very beginning, there were so many phone calls. I remember it being really quite like overwhelming. I wasn't sure who I was speaking to or what I was doing. But I think my occupational health lady put me in touch with you, or the doctor, I can't remember. It was so much going on at the time. And I was a bit worried about it at first, to be fair, because I'd never Zoomed and I'd, you know, never done anything like that before. So, but I realised after the first or second session that actually it was really, really, really needed.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't believe how much I lent towards it, really, and how much I missed it when it wasn't there. It's just helped me through what I think would be dark times, really, you know, because it was hard. I found with Emmy, it's quite lonely sometimes. It's, you know, you have to say no to your friends quite a lot to do things, so you tend to, just quieten your life down a bit, your bubble's smaller.
Yeah.
So having you guys to speak to every week, if I hadn't seen anybody, was actually what I needed, and it was what I look forward to, and it's what helped me then get through like the next 3 days, and it was just enough to kind of get me through that. So
Lovely.
yeah.
And I think you, before you came into social prescribing and joined the Hope course, you didn't have a laptop. I think that was one of the things you needed.
Yeah.
So would you just sort of explain how that came about?
Yeah, so I really wanted to join the Zoom sessions, but I didn't have a computer, and I was amazed actually, because you were able to help me out by gifting me a laptop in order to be present, which was incredible. Like, it is an amazing charity, really, because and I've spoken to quite a few of my friends about that. I'm like, I can't believe it, like, it's insane. So yeah, especially if, you know, I'm a single mum, so buying a laptop was just, I couldn't do it. So it was, it's brilliant.
So would you recommend that people ask for social prescribing through their
Absolutely,
GP?
absolutely, yeah, definitely. You know, I was really amazed actually after getting diagnosed that there was so much out there.
Yeah.
So much out there beyond the doctors, because medication is, it helps with pain, but the best medication has been this group, this understanding, a platform where you can reach out and be heard and not be judged. It's, I would say, it's 80–90% help through this. It's just a brilliant tool. It is for anybody. You know, it's the people I've met through the Zoom sessions have just been people from all walks of life, all age groups. There's, you know, different backgrounds, different medical backgrounds. It's a place where you can just be yourself.
Yeah.
You know, it's no pressure. And I think when you're not feeling at your best, to take that pressure away is really, really important, because it's frightening otherwise. So yeah, definitely would say it's a good thing.
Okay, well, you mentioned mindfulness as part of the Hope course,
Yeah.
that was something positive. Would you just like to let people know what you found positive about the mindfulness exercises and how it's helped you?
Well, I would say when you're able to kind of be taken through a mindfulness exercise, especially when you're not able to talk as a group, or you're not able to, you know, kind of just, you need that bridge, you need that gap. It's just such a good space to be, so that we don't have to think, we're just taken through it. I'm always amazed at how good I feel afterwards, and because it's just such, we never stop, do we? We never kind of really stop. You know, we might take a minute, maybe 30 seconds, but to actually be taken through a process, and you connect and you breathe and you actually feel the floor and you feel connected to your body, it's so rare. And you do need guidance.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're somebody who practice and do it, you know, it's really hard to get into that way and that place. So I would say, you know, the mindfulness and meditation was a huge part. And I know that on days that, you know, I joined the Zoom and I felt that it was a struggle, you know, it was just so, it was a light feeling to know that I could do that and kind of just be there, be present, but be guided without having to put too much energy in.
Yeah.
Sometimes energy isn't there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say it's brilliant.
Lovely.
And I always look forward to it.
So just being able to relax and come
Yeah.
into the present moment and
Yeah.
just be there.
Absolutely, and just connect with your own body. Just connect with a feeling, or, you know, your breathing. Like you forget how to breathe. You forget that, you know, what something feels like, or, you know, to actually feel your feet on the ground. Like you take it for granted. And yeah, I think it's really, really important.
Well, if anyone would like to do the Hope course, they can access it. They can contact Volunteer
that's the thing,
Cornwall.
isn't it? You know, you can go from it. You don't have to go from your doctor. You can just, which is incredible. Like, that's what's amazing. Normally there's hoops to jump through, isn't there? But with this it isn't. And I think, you know, when people are in a really hard place, the idea of hoop jumping is too much. It's too much. So you need people, you need an organisation to kind of like open up and kind of go, we're here, you know, it's fine, rather than going, oh, you need to fill in this, or you need to do this, or you need to get in contact with your doctors, or do this. So it's incredible. Yeah, I feel really lucky.
Lovely, thanks Lee. And I've just thought of one more thing. Universal credit.
Yes.
You managed to apply online, didn't you, once you got your computer?
Yes, because that was something which I was struggling to do, because before the pandemic you could like go to the job centre and do it, but then they were like, nobody come in, so it was really hard to, so. And also when I applied for my PEP, because that was a lengthy process, that was, it just became something I could, accessible. I didn't have to book time or find out when my friends were not busy so I could use their computer or have them home. It was just something that I could do from home when I had the energy to do it. So yeah.
And you managed to do it?
Yeah.
And how did that make you feel?
It's great, and also it's like when I was able to finally sort out online shopping. You know, it's just little things. I'm like, I did it, or last week I was able to apply for free dinners for my son, and it's nice when you actually apply for something and you do it and it's done within like 20 minutes. You're like, wow, you know. So yeah, it's I feel really fortunate that I've had, you know, I've got that computer to kind of help me access all these things.
It's really boosted your confidence as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, because I was a bit worried about computers.
Yeah, you were saying you were going to wait till your son got home to show you how to even start using it, and now you can do these things yourself.
Although I still turn it off like I'm doing Tai Chi. I'm like, where's the button?
That's okay.
But yeah, it's I'm getting there.
Brilliant.
So no, thank you very much.
Thanks, Lee.
Fantastic. Lovely to hear from Lee and Jan there. Now, before I go on to talk to our next guest, Scott Wood, our health and wellbeing innovation coach, health and wellbeing coach from Plus, we're going to have another little bit of media for you. Take a look at this. What a lovely range of activities there. I will say though, a bit jealous of all those cakes on offer. Flipping heck, making me hungry. Anyway, I'm now pleased to introduce Scott Wood, a health and wellbeing innovation coach from Plus. Hello, Scott.
Hey there, Pudge. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Good to be here.
Thank you for coming on the show. Thanks for taking the time to come on. It's lovely to have you. Obviously, you're, as I said, a health and wellbeing coach at Plus. Could you tell us a little bit more about your role? How would you encourage people to use social prescribing services as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the thing that I'm still waiting to hear from any doctor or any patient is, wow, I love how much time I get with my doctor. And sadly, the NHS is just swarmed at the moment. And so when it comes to being able to help someone increase their overall well-being, a doctor generally doesn't get as much time as they'd like with a patient and vice versa. And so my role as a health and wellbeing coach isn't to replace that doctor by any means, but instead to find out more about someone's overall holistic situation. And that could be socially, it could be financially, mentally, physically, and to essentially see what benefits that we can sort of get to together, find out what their goals are, and also more importantly, see what extra resources, organisations or support might be available to help them get there.
Fantastic. Obviously, we were talking a little bit about that kind of thing a little bit earlier. Obviously, we're quite aware of the growing popularity of cold water swimming, an activity that really seems to be helping with people's well-being. How did you become interested in this activity? And perhaps you can explain some of the benefits gained from it.
Yeah, sure. So my interest in it, I suppose, came up probably, just looking at the date here, almost 7 years ago now, where I went to Poland and I trained with this gentleman called Wim Hof, who's now known as the Iceman. And I used to hate the cold, couldn't stand it. I'd take, a warm sun and palm trees any day over sort of quite a brash, cold start to the morning. But there's a few benefits that just immediately, if anyone experiences it, they'll know what the benefits are immediately. And I can speak, I won't go into too much detail and bore anyone with the jargon, but there's definitely some scientific benefits to what cold water swimming can bring. So the first one is that a word that we're hearing more and more in the health and wellness community is inflammation. It's the idea that our body is starting to attack itself. And very often this can come in the form of low energy or brain fog. Well, we know from back in the days, if we fell over and we got a massive bruise on our leg, that the moment we put an ice pack on it, that starts to reduce any swelling there. Well, cold water swimming will help with chronic inflammation as well. something that seems to be brought up a lot, in fact it was brought up in the interview a moment ago, is that very often people just don't have the energy to do the things that they used to do. And if we look at energy in its very raw form, in its currency if you like, it's created by a very particular organ in a cell called mitochondria. Well, the more that we do cold exposure, like cold water swimming, we actually start to create more of these new batteries within our cells. So we actually have access to more energy because of the cold water swimming that we're doing. We're making more batteries, which is absolutely amazing. But because of that reduction of inflammation, we're also starting to release a hormone within our body called noradrenaline, which gives us really lovely levels of focus and vigilance. And so that's what someone will often say. In fact, I worked with a participant a couple of weeks ago who I by no means advised her on this. She sort of came across this by herself, and it was amazing to see. But she would finish her warm showers in the morning with a cold blast. And by doing that, she said that she had so much more energy and vigor and focus throughout the day. And so being able to get those benefits with cold water swimming, as well as it being a fantastic social activity, as it's free, it's something that should be taken advantage of as much as possible.
Amazing stuff. Is this the kind of thing that can be done any time of day? And just a random question as well, what kind of level of cold are we talking about here? Is it just below body temperature? Are we talking much colder? What sort of the details on that?
There's all sorts. So generally, the colder the better. But for safety, you only need 2 to 5 minutes of anything around about 7 degrees or lower to get some really quite extraordinary benefits. But you'll see benefits at 13 degrees. So sometimes even with a cold swimming pool, just to give you another benefit there, Pudge, back in the day where Michael Phelps was absolutely destroying all medalists and countries with all his record breaking in the Olympics, and when people started to look at his diet, they found that he was eating, I think it was just over 12,000 calories a day, which is extraordinary. And so they said, well, how is it that he was able to eat so much? And the idea was that if you look at endurance runners and endurance athletes who are just running for far more hours than he was training in a pool, they were only needing to eat around about 5,000 calories a day. And so they found that just by being in slightly cooler water, which is what an Olympic pool is, you're not swimming in cold water by any means, it's just slightly lower than room temperature, it started to put him and anyone else who does this into a fat burning mode. So this is just an incredible way to lose weight. So you get different benefits at different temperatures the lower it goes. But obviously, as another safety warning, we don't need to be in there for more than 2 minutes if it's really cold, sort of 2 or 3 degrees, even 4 degrees, to get some really extraordinary benefits.
That's fantastic, and on a little personal note, we'll be trying that one out shortly. Definitely needed. Now, you talked about a safety note there. Obviously, cold water swimming may seem like a dangerous activity to some people. Do you have any advice on how people can take part in this safely? I know you mentioned, obviously, you don't need to be in there for too long. Are social prescribers able to refer to local groups for this activity now?
So when it comes to actually referring a participant, that's not something that I would actively do here. When it comes to the idea of putting yourself into cold water, it's always worth being able to speak to a GP first. If someone's had a history of heart-related conditions, any cerebrovascular conditions like strokes, being able to have that conversation with the GP would be a very, very important first step to see if it's something that's viable. Like I said, because of the benefits that we're talking about in regards to the actual cold, you also don't need to go that deep. So when it comes to actually referring someone, I would normally let them know some of the benefits and then give them the option to research further if that was something they were interested in. But I would never make a technical referral on behalf of someone. But going back to the idea of social prescribing, what's lovely about this activity is that it is a social activity. So I would never advise someone, if they're going to go cold sea swimming, to do it alone. They can stay in the shallow end, they can stay with their friends, and make sure that you watch sort of the tide times, make sure that you're doing it when the tide is coming in. And other than that, just have a fantastic time because it's a wonderful activity.
Fantastic. Did you say just a few minutes is all you need really to get the benefits from them?
Yes. Yeah, very much. In fact, a lot of people will sometimes go in for just 60 seconds and they'll come out feeling refreshed, focused. Because social prescribing is so linked to mental health, something that a lot of people often experience during mental health isn't even just sort of negative feelings. It can often be a numbness. And so I've seen people firsthand over the years who suffered from depression, don't remember feeling any sort of peak emotions for a while, and they'll go into the cold water, and it's just like the circuits get switched on again, and they start to have all these amazing feelings of vitality come back. So yeah, even if it's 60 seconds, you're still going to feel such a wonderful difference.
Fantastic. You know what? We've been talking a lot about this between us, different groups that have come in here to Chaos. I think it's something that I personally really want to get involved with, because it seems to speak to me more. And I think that's a lot of social prescribing in it, isn't it? It's finding what works for the individuals you're talking to.
Yeah, absolutely. I could not agree more. It's if it resonates, give it a go, but it's not for everyone.
Fair enough. Now, it would seem that society is much more aware of these alternative activities and holistic approaches to health and well-being. We even have celebrities getting in on the action, like you said. We got Wim Hof there's a new BBC series, Freeze the Fear with him. A bit of a legend in the cold water scene, as you said. Do you have any experience of his breathing methods? And if so, what benefits can you get from this?
And yes, that's a great question. So when I went to Poland and spent a week with him, we did all sorts of different breathing techniques. And I think one of the best things that Wim Hof as an individual probably did wasn't even just exploring cold exposure and putting that on the map. It was being able to put breath work on the map. When we talk about things like optimizing our mind and our body and our spirit, we often forget that even the word spirit, if we track it back through its Latin roots, actually means breath. And so as the breath is something that is natural, that we do 27,000 times a day without thinking, and it controls our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, so basically controls whether or not we're in a rest and digest relaxed mode, or whether or not we're in a heightened sense of anxiety. The breath is one of the few things in the body where, even though it happens automatically and controls all these aspects, we can consciously change it in a heartbeat. And that automatically leads us to change the way that we think and act and feel. And so there was all sorts of breathing techniques that he took us through, where just by breathing in and out at a different cadence, at a different rate for different periods of time, people had all sorts of, it was almost like meditation on steroids for a lot of people. Some people ended up releasing all these emotions, and people who had gone through even some quite horrendous traumas in the past ended up feeling completely relieved, as if they'd been able to process it. So it was almost like a form of counselling that happened in 40 minutes versus 5 years. So that could be really extraordinary to be able to witness. But again, a little bit like the cold water swimming, if you start to do something like a Wim Hof breathing technique or any kind of holotropic breathing technique, you always do it with someone else present, because people can go through all sorts of different emotions. They go through all different peaks and troughs of their energy, but all in all, it's a very safe and exciting exercise to try. And again, a little bit like the cold water swimming, it's free. It's something that we all have access to be able to do right now. So yeah, I hope that answered that question for you.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing to think you can get all that just from some breathing techniques, but it's really good to know and hear how all of these methods can be so helpful to people. Scott, thank you very much for coming on the show today. Really appreciate your time. Hopefully we'll have a chat with you again soon.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much, Scott. Absolutely brilliant there. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Don't forget, if you have missed any of today's show and you want to be signposted, get in contact with us. Call us or WhatsApp us on 01872 228844. That's 01872 228844. Please get the bill payer's permission. Obviously, you can email us on hello@thisischaos.co.uk. All these details at the bottom of the screen right now. Of course, we are on social media at Chaos TV UK. Please use the hashtag KeepItChaos, or of course, pop along to Mixcloud. Go to watchchaos.tv. Look at the nice new shiny website, and of course click the Mixcloud button. You can chat to us there, pop us a message. We will point you in the right direction. For now though, we're going to go to a little bit of music. Thank you very much for joining the CTech Hour. I'll see you again next time.